Hi everyone. I have had a number of requests to make soap, and most of the soaps that I want to make right now are pretty complicated, so I better not start with those. So I'm going to make one of the most basic soaps that there is. Let me just move that up. And that's Castile, pure Castile. There's a lot of soaps that call themselves Castile, but if you look at the ingredient label, Castile soap is defined as 3 ingredients. It's made with olive oil, water, and sodium hydroxide or lye. If it's got other ingredients, it's not a bad soap, but it's not really a Castile soap. Castile should only have olive oil, lye, and water. Those ingredients are not identifiable once they've turned into soap, but that's the ingredients that it's made with. So this is a very basic recipe, and that's where we're going to start, because once you know the process, then you can get a little more complicated. But right now, I don't want to show you some of my recipes that I was going to make my shampoo bars, but that one's really complicated. It uses some advanced techniques. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to make Castile. So it's so important to weigh your ingredients. Don't measure. They need to be weighed, and they need to be accurate. You need to use stainless steel. Certain plastics are okay with lye. Glass, but you never want to use any metal that is not stainless steel. It will react with the lye. So I went to a restaurant supply where they sell used restaurant equipment and found this really neat pitcher for a low price, and it's stainless steel. So this is what I mix my lye and water in to get started. I used to use glass. I don't know, I've read too many things about it'll work fine for a while, and then all of a sudden it's etching your glass and you may not know it. If it etches your glass, the glass could shatter, and that's Pyrex, that's anything. So I will use that. I will use glass once the oil is there, but I will not use it for mixing my lye mixture. So I'm going to make a 3-pound loaf of Castile soap. And what I've done, I've already pre-measured my water, and it's so important to use a soap calculator. I go to soapcalc.net, and there is a soap calculator there. It's not difficult to use. You're going to enter the fats and oils that you want to use and how much oil you want to make. So you determine the size of your mold, and then you decide how much oil it's going to take. This case, I'm using a silicone mold, and I'm making a 3-pound loaf. So I plugged all that into the soap calculator, and what I got was to use 14.4 ounces of water, 6.05 ounces of lye, and 48 ounces of olive oil, which I've already measured out. And you want a fresh oil. If it smells rancid, your soap is going to smell rancid. I age my soaps a long time, usually 6 weeks, maybe more. What aging will do is dry it out. But in the case of Castile, it does a little more. If you use a Castile soap shortly after you make it, it's safe to use. But it's very soft, and it makes almost a slimy lather. Just not a pleasant lather. On the other hand, when I age my Castile soap, I age usually a year at least. That means it's sitting in a space where air can circulate and it can dry out. If you age your Castile soap for quite a while, it's going to get very, very hard, and it is going to have a nice creamy lather, just wonderful. And it is the mildest soap that I know of. If I had a child, that's what I would give my child or use on my child. You follow a safe recipe, and it is, to me, one of the best soaps. So let's get started making soap. So I've weighed out my water. I'm going to weigh out the sodium hydroxide, the lye, and I'm going to move this over to my range. If you don't have a really good range hood, vent hood that will vent this outside, then please do this outside or in an open place like a garage, a porch, somewhere, you know, where the fumes will not hurt you, because this is very caustic and the fumes are very caustic. You do not want to put your face near it. You don't want to do anything. It's going to heat up extremely hot. So I am going to be putting on the other glove. I am going to be putting on my goggles, and this is the minimum equipment you should use always. Some people like to use the longer gloves. I am very careful and I feel comfortable using the shorter gloves, but whatever you do, please be safe. You should never work with this soap around children or pets. My dogs are outside. They won't come inside till I feel it's safe after the soap is in the mold and they can't be hurt. So I'm gonna suit up. I'm gonna take this over to the range so that I can mix up my lye and water, and I will bring you over to show you. Okay, I decided to go ahead and show you this. Got my neat goggles on, so hi everybody. I've suited up because I have lye open. If I am using lye, I will always have goggles on and I'll always have gloves. Don't want to get burned. So I need 6.05 ounces of lye, and I wanted to show you, this label's kind of faded, but I don't know if you can read that, I use a food grade lye, and you need 100% lye or 100% sodium hydroxide, which is the proper name for it. If you can use a drain cleaner if it says 100% lye. This is what I started with. The reason I don't use it now is because I've been selling soap and I decided it should be as pure as possible. And this is an industrial grade of lye. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it could have impurities, and for that reason I choose not to use it, because if you're selling it, it needs to be pure. Lye is actually used in a number of foods. It's used to make hominy. I believe it's used in some pretzels. I mean, there's a few different foods that actually get a lye bath. So there is a food grade, and that's what I choose to use when I make my soap. So I'm going to weigh out 6.05 ounces of sodium hydroxide, or lye, whatever you want to call it. Just please use caution. Okay, I'm going to take out just a touch of that. With lye, the other ingredients, if it's that small an amount off, I probably wouldn't worry too much. But when you're looking at the lye, you want to be extra sure that you're using the correct amount for the oil and water. Okay, so now it's very important also. I have my stainless steel pitcher with the distilled water, and you need to use distilled water. I have that over on my range, and I have the range hood going. I am going to take this over there and pour the lye crystals into the water. You always, 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 always pour the lye into the water, never the reverse. You don't want to do that. It's a really, really, really bad idea. For safety's sake, make sure you follow the right process. Distilled water, pour the lye in, and I'll show you that process now. All right, here we go. I've got my water weight, distilled water weighed out. I've got my sodium hydroxide crystals, and I'm going to pour them into the distilled water, and I am not going to get close. I'm going to keep my face well away from this. You want to make sure it's stable. I'm going to stand back while I pour this in. You want to get as much as possible. You need this to be accurate. Okay, and I'm going to stand back while I stir this up well. I want it completely mixed. I want all of those crystals dissolved. I don't want to take any chance on lye crystals surviving into my soap. And I'm not sure if you can see, I think you can. There's steam coming up off of this. This was room temperature water. My handy dandy little temperature gun. 195 degrees in seconds. This is nothing to fool around with. This is why no children, no pets. Use your safety equipment, because this would burn you even if it weren't lye. But it's also caustic lye. You don't want this on your skin. You don't want to risk anyone in your family. So now, and again, don't put your face near it. It's got caustic fumes. I'm going to try and show you. At first it's very cloudy, but it will start to clear. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this cool off some. I don't really like to add this to my oils when it's this hot, so I'm going to leave this on my stove. I'm going to leave the hood going for a while because I want to make sure all of the fumes are gone before I stop venting that hood. Again, if you don't have a good hood like this, or one that vents outside, then please do this outside or in a protected spot with good ventilation. So I'm going to set this on the back here so it can't be disturbed, and then I will come back when we're ready to mix up the soap. I wanted to go ahead and show you a couple of other things. One thing that I keep handy anytime I'm making soap is a spray bottle with vinegar, just white vinegar. I use this throughout the process. When I just put my little cup and spoon that I used for the lye for measuring it, I set that inside a sink and I spray it down well with vinegar. The reason being, lye is very alkaline and very caustic. Vinegar is an acid. So I spray the vinegar on to neutralize some of that lye, even though it's just a few crystals. I want to neutralize that as much as possible, and I don't want the lye going down my sink. I'm on a septic, it would be a problem. So I try and avoid any problems. I don't wash everything right after I finish the soap because there is still active lye when I pour it in the mold. If I were to wash all of my equipment immediately, I would be washing oils and raw lye down my septic, and that is not good for your drain, not good for your pipes, and it's really not good for your septic. So just wanted to show you that. And the other part is, this is a very good soap, and I use it occasionally for making some household cleaners. Otherwise, I almost always use my own soap. But first of all, if you're using a liquid soap, you are going to have preservatives. You have to. So I choose not to use them. I don't use any preservatives in my products, and in order to do that, I just have to keep bar soaps. And I'm looking for your ingredients label here because it can only be olive oil, water, and sodium hydroxide. But if you look right below the name, made with organic oils, which is great, but if you read the ingredients, it's water. The first oil you have there is organic coconut oil, potassium hydroxide, which is it's a different form of lye. It's used for liquid soaps. Organic olive oil, mentha, basically menthol oil, organic hemp oil, organic jojoba oil, peppermint oil, citric acid, and tocopherol. Now, this is a great soap, but I'm going to tell you, when it says pure Castile, that is not true. Castile soap originated in the Castile, I believe it's a region in Spain. And the traditional Castile is only olive oil, water, and lye. So just wanted to share that because there's a lot of people that are confused about that. And if you are in soap making, we don't call this Castile. We would call this a Bastille. And I won't share with you why. It's out on the internet. But we call it Bastille because it is made with olive oil and it is a really nice soap. However, it is a liquid soap. It will have a preservative and it is not a true Castile. So I just wanted to clear that up because I hear this said over and over again, all I use is Castile soap. And that is not true. The true Castile is so gentle, I use it on a baby. I'm back. So I have olive oil that is room temperature. This is pure olive oil. I'm not using extra virgin. You could. I've done that before. I find it takes longer to cure. It leaves a greenish tint to the soap, and this one comes out pure white. And I don't feel like it adds anything to the finished soap. So I normally will use the Kirkland pure olive oil, and I've had really good luck with it. Olive oil has a very long shelf life, which is good because, as I said before, if your oil gets rancid over time, your soap is going to get that rancid smell too. It's still okay to use, it just doesn't smell that clean scent that Castile soap will have. So this is room temperature. It's weighed out. It's ready to go. I like to strain my lye water. It is not necessary. Most people don't do it. Me, it's just another step, because if there's any undissolved lye crystals, this should catch it. It's just like insurance. Again, totally not necessary. Most people don't do it. I do. All right. So this was at 195 immediately after pouring in the lye and dissolving it. And right now we're at 104. That is, I will work with that range. You don't want it too hot, but I don't mind it being in this range. So I'm going to slowly pour it into the olive oil. I don't want to take any chance of mixing, so I'm going to just get as much off as I can. As you can see, there's really not anything there. To me, it's insurance, and I'm going to go put this over here to add vinegar to. So what you've got now, I don't know if you can see, but the top is pretty clear still. It's gotten cloudy at the bottom. So that's the lye mixing in. And now I'm going to take my stick blender, and this is going to get noisy. Sorry, can't help it. I've tried doing this by hand. It's very slow with most soaps, and with Castile, it takes forever. And you want to kind of jiggle it a few times to get any air bubbles out before you start. And just slowly pulse, because you don't want to take a chance of this lye water getting splashed. But what we're going to do here is we're going to emulsify, which all that means is you're just thoroughly blending the three ingredients together until there's no separation between them. You just want to very well mix it. And you can already see it's changed color, and that's the start of the emulsification. But my experience with Castile is it takes a little while to do this. It's not as fast as some soaps, some mixtures. And what we have to do is we have to stick blend this until it comes to what we call a trace. And a trace is when I do this, you can see the line left on the top of the soap. And at that point, it is well emulsified. And I'm going to bring it to a harder trace for Castile, because again, this soap is so soft for so long. I want to really emulsify it. Another word of caution, if you're using a stick blender on a soap like Castile, it's going to take you a little while. You don't want to run it continuously, because it'll overheat and you'll burn up your blender. And by the way, yes, I do have my goggles and gloves. So I'm going to give it breaks now and again. This is one of those legal things. You're doing this at your own risk, but always use safety measures. It's just not worth risking anything. You will see a line on the surface of the soap when you do that. So that's what we're looking for. Don't run your stick blender non-stop. You'll burn it up. Take breaks. So now I'm just going to try and finish taking this to a good medium trace at least. Castile soap is very soft to start with, and it takes a while to cure, and it takes a while to set up enough to unmold it. So I like to bring it to a heavier trace. I'm not going to be adding any colors. I'm not going to be adding any fragrances. I occasionally will add tea tree essential oil and lavender essential oil, one or both. But I actually prefer Castile to be pure, and I don't add anything to it. And it's the only thing I use on my face. My mother and grandmother have beautiful, beautiful complexions, and they only use water, but I didn't inherit that, so I use the Castile. It's very gentle, creamy, it's not drying, and that's what I like to use. So I don't know if you can see this. It's just starting to form a trace. When I lift up the stick blender, it leaves an impression on the top. But I want to bring it to a heavier trace. I'm going to do what's called burping the blender. You want to make sure the air bubbles are out, because I don't want it full of air bubbles. It doesn't help. And it becomes noticeably thicker. That's what you're trying to do. So I'm not sure, the lighting in here is not the great. It's evening. But we want that impression on top. But again, I want it a little bit heavier. Now, when this becomes completely emulsified and comes to a trace, it still has active lye in it. You do not want to touch this. This is cold processed soap, and cold process mostly means you are not cooking it. You are just putting in the lye water into the oil, and then you're going to pour it in the mold and let it just sit, and it will cure. It'll harden enough to unmold, and then it just needs to cure. 24 to 48 hours you need to let it sit before you touch it, because it still could have active lye in it. If you're making hot process soaps, which I do some of my soaps hot process, you're actually cooking it. And in that case, you are creating the cure faster. You are causing the saponification, and in what that means is if you add an alkali, which is the lye, an acid, which is the olive oil, and water, and you agitate it, it creates saponification, and that saponification is what turns these ingredients into soap. So again, all safety measures all the way through this process. And I would say 24 hours minimum. It could be 2 days, it could be more on most soaps before it's completely saponified. And we're getting close. It's still not there. But my stick blender is warm, which is why I give it a break. I don't want to burn it up. And I would say olive oil probably takes longer, the Castile soap, to reach trace than a lot of other soaps that I make. Some of them, it's almost instant. As soon as you mix it together and stick them for a very short time, it will reach trace. And you know what? I think I'm happy with this. Let me see if you can see it. I can't tell what you're seeing. But you see that impression left on top. That's trace. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to always take the blade off my stick blender. Never try and do this while it's plugged in. I've seen some really nasty pictures of people that didn't do it in the proper order. So now I'm just going to wipe this down a little. And it's difficult because it's warm in the house because we don't have air conditioning. And I'm working in here and I can't take my goggles off, so they're kind of fogging up a little bit. So I'm just going to get most of this off of my stick blender. Partly because I don't want to waste it, but also again, I don't want this going down my sink and my drains. I want to be as careful as possible about letting any lye or oil go down the drain. Once it forms soap, hey, I have no problem with it. So I'm going to move all this away. Now these silicone molds are wonderful. I love them, but they're not necessary. My first soaps, I used a cardboard box and a Walmart bag. A lot of soapers, very good ones, will use wooden molds and they line that with freezer paper. You can use plastic throwaway dishes. I mean, there's so many things you can use. And that's the other thing. I won't reuse any of these utensils, dishes, for anything else except for my soaps. The only exception I make is I sometimes will use a stainless steel pan, and those I wash so thoroughly twice they do not retain any of the lye. This, on the other hand, is stainless steel, but it also has probably is rubber gaskets and things. Those can, and so I won't use that for anything except for soap. So just caution. And now we're going to pour it in the mold. So just slowly. We don't want to create a lot of air bubbles. Now, if you were doing fancy colors and all that other stuff, there's different processes you'd use at this point. I use very little colorant in any of my soaps. I do have a couple of soaps that I will use natural colorants such as madder root or safflower powder or things like that. Sometimes dried nettle powder, but unless it's adding something else to the soap, I really don't like to do that. I like to keep my soaps as pure and natural as I can while still making them feel wonderful and just do great things for your skin. I am very different from a lot. You will hear mica is a natural soap colorant. Well, the mineral itself is. However, it has been mined usually by children in bad conditions. And also it uses FDC food coloring. And those are really not natural. And a lot of people do have sensitivities. So I don't like that. So I kind of jiggle it some. I want to get any air bubbles. And I'm going to tap it on the counter. And then if you want to make a pretty top to it, you can. You know what? That's not going to make a good one. I don't worry about it too much, but I like to smooth the top and just make it look a little bit nicer. You could spend a lot of time doing this. Some people do. Again, it's like the coloring. If it's important to you, then I'd say do it. In my world, I'm more concerned about the finished product and what it does for my skin. So I do try and clean the sides a little, but I don't get obsessive. I just want to even it out. And again, okay. Now some soaps will go through a gel phase, which basically is heating up from the inside because of the process it's going through, the saponification. With the Castile, I don't want it to do that. I want it to be opaque and white when it's finished. I'm not going to cover this up with anything. I want it to sit out. You could even refrigerate or freeze it if you want. I don't think it's necessary, so I'm just going to leave this sitting out uncovered. I may kind of put a paper towel over it just to keep any dust or anything out. But I'm not going to do anything special to it. I just want it to slowly go through the process. And in a few days, and that's sad, but it's going to be a few days before this is ready for me to unmold it. I will bring you back and we're going to see how this came out. We're going to unmold it. I may or may not cut it into bars right away. Again, it just depends how well it's set up. And it might be set up pretty well. I'm actually taking a trip to Napa with Shana and going to see my sister. So it may be pretty well set up by then, but we're just going to leave it out. We're going to let it saponify, and then I will bring you back when it's time to unmold this and show you what it looks like. But can't show you finished product other than a bar I already have, because again, I let this sit for a year. I want to make sure this is as creamy and wonderful as I know it will become, and a nice hard bar of soap that lasts a long time. So thanks for watching, and I'll bring y'all back when I have something to show you. I will share this with you also, and this is just a little cleanup tip. I do not wash these out for at least 24 hours, but what I will do is I take a paper towel and I wipe down everything as much as I can. Again, only if it's unplugged and I take it apart. I will get as much of the mixture off as I can. And then when I'm done with this, I'll spray it again with my vinegar and let it sit. And then when I wash this, I am pretty sure that I'm not going to have any active lye left to go down my sink or any oils that could cause a clog. because at this point you still have oil and you still have lye. They are not saponified yet. They're not creating a different thing yet. They are just emulsified. So rather than leave this sit around where somebody could touch it, I try and get as much off as I can. I spray it with my vinegar, and then tomorrow I'll come back and wash these. But in the meantime, I don't have this stuff sitting here that could cause somebody some harm, and it just makes it easier to wash. And I did waste a few paper towels, and I'm okay with that. So just a little tip. Hi everyone. I'm back from a wonderful long weekend with my sister in California. We went to Napa and Sonoma and did things, amazing wine tours, wine caves, pairings, tastings, and I'll probably do a video to show you all that, but it was just so relaxing. So we got home today, it's Monday, and I'm gonna show you, I made this soap last week. I had it in the silicone mold that was in this metal form, and I took it out because it's hardened up enough to unmold. So we don't need that. I took it out. And now I'm going to take the soap out. I'll bring you down so you can see it. I'm going to take it out of the mold, and then we're going to cut this, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I love the silicone molds because it is so easy to unmold. Some molds aren't that easy, but this one is just beautiful. My dogs are going nuts, and the little baby chickens too. So get that out of the way. So this is what a loaf of soap looks like, and I'm going to tell you, it still has a soft feel to it. It's fully cured, fully soap. But for Castile, as I said before, this is a very soft soap. It can be slimy feeling when you use it, so I did not use it that early. So this is my soap cutter, and I won this in a raffle. It was great. But I'm gonna just cut a tiny bit off the end. Maybe it won't. So what I'm going to do is just cut this in slices, and I need to tighten that. I won this in a raffle, and it was so fun because I think I contributed $5 with a bunch of other soapers. And this is like one of the best makers of soap cutters there is. Bud's Workshop, Woodshop. There's another one that's now out. Plowboys, I think it is. He's really good. But Bud's is like the best. So, okay. We're gonna line this up. And there is my first bar of Castile soap. So that's the inside of it, and I hope you can see it. It's evening, the light is kind of dim. Let me try putting a light on. Not sure it's going to make much difference. But this did not gel, which is what I wanted. Gel is when it heats up from the inside because of the saponification. And that's sometimes desirable, but in this case, I don't want that. I want pure white. I want opaque. This soap is still just a light creamy color, but it will turn more white as it ages, and I will try and age this 1 year. Because after 1 year, This soap is going to be very, very hard, and I want you to see. If I press, I can make an indentation right there. This is after several days, but if I wait 1 year, even 6 months, the soap gets very, very, very hard. It was one of my longest lasting soaps when it's aged. And when you let it do that, not only does it get very hard, right now if I were to create a lather with it, which I might do, it's kind of a slimy feel. You can still feel the oil, you can still slimy feeling, but if you age this long enough, and in my case I choose to use a year, this is the creamiest, most luxurious soap you will ever use. Put it away for a year, forget about it, and then use it. It is so beautiful for your face, for your body, for your children, whatever you want to use it for. Castile is beautiful. So I'm going to cut some more soap. I think I want to cut it about that size. And I use this on my face, and one of these bars will last me probably a year. It is so hard, it doesn't melt away in the soap dish unless you let it sit in water, and then you're on your own. But it will last me on my face on a raised soap dish for a year, at least. So I love this soap. My daughter loves it. Everybody loves it. You just have to be patient. You have to give it the time it needs, and you will be rewarded because it is just that wonderful on your skin. So thank you for watching. I hope you try this. This is a very easy soap to make, but you have to be very patient for a long time. Other soaps are more challenging to make, but they are not, you don't have to wait as long. So whether you choose to try one of them after you see this process and you see what's required, or whether you try this, it's worth it to me and to my family. This soap is pure and it's amazing. So thank you for watching, and blessings to everyone. Thank you for watching Vicky's Country Home. I hope you'll come back soon, and if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe.